What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Homie Hangout, where we help others move with excellence. Wearing my Warriors hat today. I don't often wear hats on my channel. That's not going to change, but I am wearing my Warriors in the Garden merch from Hector Bravo today, and so I figured a hat goes with it, right? And there were some comments yesterday about me wearing a blue shirt when I did the video on anxiety. I'm going to link to it actually. If you haven't seen it, I strongly suggest you check it out. Uh, Interesting conversation, man. Read the comments. It's very rewarding. But a lot of you guys missed it, so I'll link to it. But nonetheless, this video is lighthearted, right? It is the funniest removal that I observed in the California Department of Corrections. And I'm not saying violence is funny, right? This is inspired by my guy Nate Dog 916. We were having a conversation earlier. If you haven't seen his channel, just sound advice from a dude that's been around, um, all around, all around good dude, right? So I'll link to his channel too. You guys go check that out. He's been dropping more content lately, right? But we were talking this morning and wound up being on the phone for quite a while, which sort of took away my time to do a video, right? But also part of the conversation inspired this, and I'm not going to get into the details of our talk, but he'll see this and he'll know. Um, there is some amusing violence in the California Department of Corrections, and I want to be clear. I don't glorify violence. I glorify living a life where you don't have to be violent, right? Uh, and and funny is kind of a relative term. Okay, it's I have seen some gruesome attacks with weapons in prison that made me laugh, made me chuckle. I was like, okay, I see you, right? I remember the first time I saw somebody's face very up close as as they were getting a new mark that they didn't have when it came out to yard. And I think like gallows humor kind of just as a way to cope with the lifestyle. I laughed, right? When their face looked like nails on a chalkboard and they like it. I found it very amusing. But that's not the type of thing that I would come on here and celebrate or laugh at folks about. This I think is objectively funny, right? No matter how you feel, whatever. This is just it was funny, right? It was funny, lighthearted. So, anyways, it takes place in Solano. Okay. No surprise for those guys that know my story and know the prisons that I've been in. Solano is probably that is the one place I've been where something like this is likely to take place. Because level 4 yards, there's weapons, right? That's where the gruesome stuff comes into play. And it's just a hands-on, right? I'm not gonna get into names or whatever, but we have this homeboy on the yard. Okay. I'm 99% sure he's from Tulare County, though not 100%. And and he was a cool dude, like cool personality, youngster. I was like 20 at the time, but young and didn't take himself too serious, right? Little short guy. I don't know why sometimes like the short dudes be the funniest. The short dudes and little chunky dudes, they be the most humorous. But little short dude, right? And he was doing some time. I think he had a shooting or something. He wasn't a lifer or anything. He didn't take himself too serious. He didn't want to talk politics all the time. He wasn't a super cholo or super down ass gangster dude. Uh just just a cool cat, man. Cool cat. And he loved WWE. That was his thing, man. I love the Niners. I'm a Niners fan. I'm a Warriors fan. I'm a Giants fan. This dude lived and breathed WWE. And it was so exciting to him. I think he was kind of caddish. Like he was a little bit off. Not full blown, like he wasn't hot meds, but I think he was a little off. But he just assumed everybody was as passionate as he was. And he wasn't the type that could really read the room too well. Right? Like he's super excited. He's talking to the character and he bounced against the ropes. And he was very animated when he talked, right? So you're watching the dude. And he's got kind of long hair a little bit. So he just it's I could picture it. It was funny, right? Just hearing him talk about it. And we'd be standing around like, well, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Right? But he didn't realize that nobody cared because he cared so much that it didn't matter. He was gonna make you care. So that's him, right? And that was always him, always eager to talk about it. And somehow or another, I always found myself in a circle with this dude early in the morning, always, right? And he was ready to go. He was gung ho. He was happy about his day. His coffee had kicked in. Like again, man, this is a cool dude. So there comes a situation where an individual needs to go, right? Individual needs to get removed, needs to get hands put on him. No weapon, 2-on-1, right? Get beat up. Hopefully, get beat up. Sometimes 2-on-1s, the one gets the upper hand on the two. That's always a bad look. Um, but for the most part, 2-on-1, you get beat up, you get sent off the yard. You're not allowed to hang out anymore, right? You're not cool. You got to go. So that's the case with this individual, right? We'll call him the victim. Okay. So the victim's about to get beat up, right? Victim needs to go. There were some issues. There have been some issues. Then there were some issues the night before. Homeboy comes out. There's a conversation. And the result of the conversation is it's time for him to go. Okay. So we need a couple people to go put hands on. And Homeboy's right there. He's not far. We're by building 6. If you know the layout of Solano or other buildings that are like it, right? It's a 270 design yard. It's level 3, so it's 270 design yard. There's 6 buildings on the yard, 3 on one side, 3 on the other. And our side of the yard is the building 6 side. So we have a handball wall. Southsiders and Woods got a handball wall over by kind of by building 1, right? A big track. The weight pile used to be on our side of the yard. Pretty sure at this point the weights were gone already, so there's a little bar work there, um, and a basketball court, right? And they got the same shit, over on the other side. So, like, man, this dude got to go. Homeboy's right there, and he had started participating in education. He had kind of started learning more of what it was to be a northerner, right? And was taking to it pretty well, and that wasn't the case for everybody on the yard, right? Solano, the numbers were very deep, and so people were running different kinds of programs on that yard. But he has started getting into our program, if you will, and so with that, that's generally kind of when your number gets called, right? Especially if it hasn't been called before. Um, the two things go hand in hand, right? So his number got called, and again, it's a hands on. It's not a big deal. So we're like, hey, come here, right? Bring him over. There's a conversation, right? Overly serious, right? More serious than it needs to be in hindsight. But hey, are you willing to make a sacrifice for the household, right? Household needs your assistance. We want to assist. And he's like, yeah, yeah. And he's serious now, right? He knows when to be serious. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, just want to kind of check in, see how you're feeling. Because in Solano, to be clear, you're not obligated. Right? There's no obligation. Salinas Valley, you was obligated, right? Fuck if you want to or not. If your number's called, you're gonna go. But Solano wasn't like that. There's over 100 Northerners on the yard most of the time. There's always somebody, right? So he wasn't obligated. That's why the conversation looked the way that it did. He had the option to be like, I'm cool, but he didn't. He was like, okay, and you can see his demeanor change. Look, he's taking it serious. So we get another homeboy. He's on board with it, right? Have a conversation. Okay, cool. We'll get with you in a minute. Because you don't tell them who it is up front, right? Hey, man, are you willing to go remove this guy, right? You don't breach of security. You're giving up too much information. You'll know who your target is when the battery is in your back and you're wound up and you're ready to go, right? Then we'll point you in the right direction and go do that. So we're waiting, right? Everything gets situated. All right, cool. After this unlock, come out, get homeboy, right? Cool. So I believe he lived in building 3. No, he lived in building 4, right? So because how it happens, he comes out of the yard, is kind of right by the basketball court that happens. So while that's waiting, I'm sitting there and homeboy's talking to me. I believe it was Monday Night Raw. He's telling me about WWE, right? Him and his fucking tumbler with his coffee, just talking WWE. And I was like, hey, look, come here. Come here. You know what you can do? He's like, what? I said, bro, you want to be famous? He's like, what do you mean? I said, look, so I know you're going to handle that, right? Appreciate you. Look, if you get this dude on the ground, right? Give him the old people's elbow. What? I said, yeah. And his eyes, like you can see the wheels turning in his head. He's like, nah, I can't. No, bro, listen. as long as he's on the ground. You gotta get him on the ground first. Don't fuck around, get beat up. Don't get too fancy. But come on, man, you guys got this. Don't trip. You guys got this, and you're gonna be good. But you get him on the ground. What's that thing? The Rock. You show me where he does that little hand up thing, right? And he's like, yeah, yeah. I said, you smell what the. He goes, yeah, 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 yeah. I said, okay, so do that. I said, bro, you'll kill the yard. You will be famous. You'll be famous. People will talk about this. Bro, I never seen no shit like that. Have you seen that? No. I said, come on, man. Like, you're the WWE dude, bro. I said, lay the smack down. You can lay the smack down, right? And he's like, bro, you sure? You sure? Like, you can see he's getting excited. He's getting pumped up. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I said, you got this, bro. Just don't tell nobody. Just between me and you, make that shit happen, though. You got this. You got this. But you got to get him on the ground. Oh, okay, okay. Who is he? Just hold on. You'll see. So right before as the next unlock is happening, somebody gets with him and gets with the other dude, and it's like, okay, when the unlock's over, dude comes out the building, do your thing. So dude comes out, right, and he's walking, and they get on him, right, and they're not stomping him out. They get on him. Dude kind of gets on the ground fairly easy, and they're over him. And you would tell the homeboys, hey, if you get them on the ground, don't. That's the other part that doesn't come up. If you get them on the ground, don't kick them. You're gonna fuck around, catch a case, right? You get a charge if you kick somebody with your state boots while they're laying on the ground versus a hands on. You're not, you're cool. It's not a weapon, right? But your feet are a weapon. And so you do it on the ground, and he looks over. He's kind of lightweight, out of breath, right? And looks over at me, and I was like, and the yard's down at this point, right? They had called yard down. Seals is rushing over. We're kind of squatting. In Solano, you didn't have to prone out, right? So we're kind of squatting down a little bit. And he's looking at me. I was like, oh. And he puts his hand up like this, right? And shakes wiggles his little fingers and shit. And boom, and drops an elbow on him. The other dude he's with doesn't know. The other dude's on top of him like this, right? Hitting him. The dude's kind of balled up on the ground. Hey, you hear the whole yard. You could hear a pin drop all of a sudden. I think the CO stopped moving. Everything. You don't hear keys jangling. Everything stops. Right? And then just this rumble. Right? If you've been around riots, there's a rumble on the yard when it's a riot. Right? It's like a herd of stampede of people. There's a rumble that goes with the sound of a riot. It's like that kind of a rumble of essentially the entire yard dying in laughter, right? Just that was the funniest shit. And he like I say, he's just a little guy, and he and he jumps and he drops his elbow on him, and he's cracking up. And as he's walking up, they get down to COs, they grab him, a little bit of spray, it wasn't too much spray, sprayed a little bit, cuff him up, and he's walking, and he's bobbing as he as he's getting escorted to the program office. He's like bobbing like this, and he's and he's looking around, and motherfuckers are clapping on the yard. Oh, it was, that was the funniest removal that I ever saw in the California Department of Corrections, man. And yeah, that was good. And it was talked about, right, for a while. It was talked about. I was asked if I had anything to do with that. Um, it was great. It was fun. Probably some other environment where super serio, mas chingon dudes, man, maybe somebody would have gotten in trouble. But that day in that space, man, that shit was hilarious. So there you have it, man. Just a little quick, lighthearted video. This probably my only one for today, but I'm expecting I'll go live in a bit, or later this evening maybe. But you guys check out Nate Dogg 916, man. That's the homie. He didn't do any videos about WWE or people's elbows or anything. But he drops amazing content, man, and I suggest you guys go check it out and support the homie. In the meantime, help others move with excellence. That's what homies do. Help yourself at the same time because you're worth it. Help your community because they need you. And check out yesterday's video, man. This shit was dope. All right, you guys, take care.